Hi guys, welcome back to Thread and Glue Designs. If you're new here, my name is Stephanie, and each week I read from the Bible on Wednesday, and then I post crafting videos throughout the week and weekend, various times. Um, so if you like that kind of thing, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Today I wanted to start something new on here. You can see this line that I have here. And this is a line for the Bible, for different Bible translations. Right now, we are reading from the NET version, and that's about middle of the line next to the NIV version. Okay? If you go to the right, it gets easier and easier to read, but it's more paraphrased. It's not as much literally taken from the word. It's just paraphrased to give you an overall idea. And as you go to the left, it gets more and more literal, meaning word for word, uh, based off of what was originally written. And so I have several different versions of the Bible here, and I wanted to take a few minutes, off and on, to share a different version of the Bible with you so that you can kind of get an idea of whether you like that version or not. I know for me that's been kind of a hard road because really the only way I, tried a new version was if I got a new version. Um, you can look it up online, but I am a textile kind of person. I love the feel and touch of the Bible pages, the smells of the Bible, everything. So today we're going to start with the New American Standard Version, and that is right here on the line, the farthest one to literal. You'll notice that King James is several away from literal, which surprised me because that's always been the old standard for everyone was the King James version. But if you know the King James version, I don't own one. I don't like to read in that text. It's the text of it is from way, way back. And it talks about a lot of these and thous and uses a lot of verbiage and language that we no longer use today. So it doesn't make as much sense to us. But the New American Standard Bible, I have one here, and it is the updated edition, and it's in giant print. And this cover is not leather, it is called leather text. Um, it is thumb indexed. I hope my lighting will cooperate here. Let me take that brightness down some. There we go. It is thumb indexed, and when you open the Bible, it is a paste down liner. It's not a sewn in one. And so you do still have to kind of hold it open unless you get further into the Bible. The only way you're not going to have to do that is if you buy a premium leather Bible. And so this one starts out, it has your marriages page, wife's family tree, husband's family tree, births and deaths. And I think you can see all of that. Let me pull you back just a little bit. There we go. Okay. And occasions to remember that you can write down and keep. And then we have one blank page, and these are fairly thin pages. They're not the thinnest I've seen, but they're definitely not the thickest. And here is the title page, The Holy Bible Updated New American Standard, Foundation Publication Inc., and they're out of California. All right, and this was copyrighted in 2002 by the Lockman Foundation. And it just gives you the permissions to quote, that kind of thing. Then you have the foreword and the preface. I guess that's how you say it, preface, preface. Tomato, tomato, however you want to say it. The principles of the translation. So, modern English usage, I'll read this to you real quick. The attempt has been made to render the grammar and terminology in contemporary English. When it was felt that the word for word literalness was unacceptable to the modern reader, a change was made in the direction of a more current English idiom. In the instances where this has been done, the more literal rendering has been indicated in the notes. There are a few exceptions to this procedure. In particular, frequently and is not translated at the beginning of sentences because of differences in style between ancient and modern writings. Punctuation is a relatively modern invention, and ancient writers often linked most of their sentences with and or other connectives. Also, the Hebrew idiom answered and said is sometimes reduced to answered or said as demanded by the text for current English. The idiom "it came about that" has not been translated in the New Testament except when a major translation is needed. It goes on and gives you more information about the text and why they came up with it the way that they did. This gives you an explanation of the general format, abbreviations for special markers, a list of the books of the Bible, the Old Testament, the New Testament, and then the books of the Bible listed alphabetically. And then we have an opening page to the Old Testament. And here you see we begin in Genesis. This is a giant print, and boy did they do good with that. I love the size of this print. There is no fatigue on your eyes when reading after a long amount of time when you read in this size of a text. I love that. Absolutely love that. So each one of the tabs have 3 books of the Bible listed in it. And you can see, I'll read just a little bit out of Genesis 1 for you so you can kind of get an idea of what it sounds like. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the waters. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, one day. Then God said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters." God made the expanse and separated the waters which were below the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse, and it was so. God called the expanse heaven, and there was evening, and there was morning, a second day. So I'll stop right there. I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of how it reads. Um, I know that's a big deal for me because I've been trying to decide an actual version to get for my family Bibles for my 2 girls. And I absolutely love the NET, but I'm not finding anywhere where they have really nice premium Bible with like a full yap and stuff on it. And we can talk about a full yap and all that later. Um, but this is just giving you an overview of this Bible. Okay, we're going to skip on over and we're going to go to about the middle of the book. And we are going to have a divider page. By the way, this is gold gilded and it is not art gilded. What art gilded does is when you turn it to the side, you get a secondary color that you see. This one does not do that. This was, if I'm if I'm not mistaken, this came out way before art gilding did, because I don't remember ever hearing about art gilding until recently. So that could just be my lack of knowledge, but it could also be that they didn't have it. So here we have the separator page, the New Testament. and we jump right into the Gospel according to Matthew. And once we get past the New Testament, let me get over here. There's a tab that's for the Concordance. It's a dictionary concordance thesaurus, New American Standard, and it lists based on the words that you look, it tells you where to find the information you need. These pages are very thin and it is kind of hard to separate them sometimes. But I find that a lot with Bibles in general. So maybe my fingers are just too slick. I don't know. But this concordance is still continuing on. Dictionary concordance. Yeah, still going strong. And here we get to the end of the concordance, and you have Introduction to the Books of the Bible. Now, I personally would prefer this at the beginning of the Bible just because I have never even noticed this back here. I would have easily, gladly read this before I read each book of the Bible to know I'm getting into, what I'm about to read about. It really helps to have the context. So this is nice that it's in here, but would be much better in the front of the Bible, I believe. And continuing on with that, forgive my fiddling with these pages. Okay, we have a list of God's promises, and it tells you the Beatitudes, forgiveness, ask, seek, and find. Lists several things here, and it gives you where to go find it in the Bible. That's a really helpful thing. I like that. And that continues until we get here, and this is where to find help when. And it gives you several things that you might be dealing with, like bereaved, bitter or critical, choosing a career, several just things you deal with in daily life. Um, and it tells you the verses where to go look that up at. And this one is called Verses for Reflection. And this gives you a list of verses for you to go and look up and take a moment and reflect on that verse to really try to think what that verse is trying to say to you. Now, I personally do not ever read just one verse at a time. I make sure that I read the surrounding context because you can take the Word of God out of context easily. You have to read it in the situation that it was being written in. Um, so that's just my 2 cents on that. But then we get into the maps, and this is the biblical world of the patriarchs. The maps are on a thicker paper, a much nicer paper. They're a little slick. Um, this one is the Exodus, route, and conquest of Canaan, the 12 tribes of Israel. It's always amazing to me when I think about the tribes of Israel because you think of it as a small collective group, but they were literally thousands and thousands of people in this tribe. You have the divided kingdom of Israel and Judah, Palestine in the time of Christ. You have the Old Testament Jerusalem, and then what the New Testament Jerusalem looks like, and it's all explained out. It's all got codes to it. Then you have the ministry of Jesus, and in here it gives you the scripture references, but it also gives you what happened at each of these locations, which I think is a really cool thing to be able to just look over and see where and what he actually did in every place. Because sometimes we forget just how much he actually has done for us. And it's really nice to reflect back on that. And then we have Paul's first, second, and third missionary journals here. And there is no page in the back of the Bible, blank page. I really would like to see the blank page at the back of the Bible so that you can test out your pens and highlighters on it and make sure they don't bleed through or give too much ghosting for you from page to page. There is one in the front of the Bible that we saw, but it would be much better to have three or four of them in the back of the Bible. Um, and then we have the cover, the closing cover. It's still that paste down cover. And overall, it's a nice feel to the Bible. It doesn't feel cheap or cheesy. But now I have never owned a premium Bible, um, so I cannot attest to what the difference would be between this and a premium Bible until I do get one. But yeah, guys, this is what I wanted to show you for today's video was the New American Standard Version, and I'm going to put a little tick mark here beside this one that we've gone through and done that one. I will be going over the Amplified and the ESV. I think I have a Holman's Christian Standard in there. I'll have to look. And we have the net, which we've already discussed on this channel. So if you want to look back at that, feel free to. There is a video on that. And then we have the NIV, and I do have an NIV version. And I have an NLT version. And I think I have one. It's either the NCV or Christian, I think it's a Christian Standard Bible. But that is as close as I have to this end of it. I don't really have much on that end. But we will get into all of the ones that I do have and hopefully be able to get some ideas of what we think about each version, um, and the Bible itself as it was printed. So if you have any questions for me, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. And if there's something else I could show you when I'm doing these that would help you better than what I've already shown you, by all means, leave that in the comments and I'll be glad to take that into consideration when I'm making the next one. So you guys have a blessed day and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.